And again, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining our webinar for today, which talks about our accreditations and educational offerings at EIT. And this will be presented by our Deputy Dean at EIT, that is Dr. Indumati V. And I'd like to let you know a little bit about her later on as well. But first, let's get to know more about EIT. So, we are an engineering specialist and we are dedicated to ensure that our students would receive a world-class education and gain skills that you can immediately apply when you work in the industry. And also, the reason why we are called engineering specialists, it's because we are one of the only institutes in the world specializing in engineering, and we have a variety of courses that we offer. We have professional certificates, we have diplomas, advanced diplomas, undergraduate certificates, bachelor's and master's degrees, and also a doctorate of engineering. And we are also industry oriented when it comes to our programs because they are designed by industry experts, and that is to ensure that our students would graduate with cutting edge skills that are valued by employers as well in the industry. And our program content as well remains current all the time because we always make it sure that we cope with the rapidly changing technology and industry developments. And when it comes to accreditation, we have world-class Australia accredited education. So all of our programs are registered and accredited by the Australian government. And we also have some programs that are also recognized under 3 international engineering accords by Engineers Australia, and we will be talking about that today as well in this webinar. And of course, we choose our lecturers very well. We make sure that we have industry experienced lecturers who are highly experienced in their subject as well, and they should have applied knowledge. And of course, with EIT's technology, we also enable our offerings to be coming from a large global pool of expertise so that our students would be globally exposed as well. And we have a unique delivery model. Our programs would have a unique delivery methodology that would make use of live and interactive webinars. And of course, as mentioned, our pool of expert lecturers. And apart from that, we are also proud that we have dedicated learning support officers that would be the go-to person to support the student all throughout the student's stay or study with us. And not to mention as well our state-of-the-art technology, which provides our students both online and on campus hands-on workshops that are meaningful. And we also have our remote laboratories and simulation softwares who can really help in our applications as well. And I would like to introduce you now to Dr. Indu. And she, again, as mentioned earlier, she is our Deputy Dean, and she is a chartered professional engineer, and she is also a fellow in Engineers Australia, and of course, a fellow of the Australian Institute of Management with over 20 years of experience in engineering and leadership as well in engineering education. And of course, as a passionate educator, her current doctorate project focuses on EEG brainwaves to empower student engagement and participation in the classroom. And we are looking forward to this one. Thank you so much for being with us today, Dr. Indu. And I'm now giving you the webinar for you to say more about yourself and to begin your discussion for today.
No worries. Thanks very much, Lisa. Hi, everyone. A good day and welcome to this webinar where we are going to discuss our program accreditations. But before I go ahead, can I get a thumbs up to ensure that you all can hear me clearly? Just in the chat box, as you've done before. Yep, that's good. All right, that's great. Thank you. So a couple of things just before we get started. So I'll be covering the below topics today. So I'll be talking about accreditation. I'll be talking about international recognition, a little bit into why you should choose EIT. I'll also dive into the engineering accords. And last but not least, I thought, given that it's the beginning of the year, I'll be covering a little bit of trends we are seeing in the engineering space for 2024 as well. So I've got a few accreditation bodies that we are going to talk about here on the slide. We've got our Australian government, Australian Skills Quality Authority, as well as our Tertiary Education Quality and Standards Authority, TEXA, and Engineers Australia for the international accords. At any point, if you have questions, please do put them in the chat box, and at the end of the webinar, I'll try and answer as much as I can. All right, in terms of the fundamentals of accreditation, we've been registered as a training organization since 2008. And this registration covers us in terms of delivering vocational education and training. So that's in your diploma, advanced diploma, and some of the grad certs that we have in the vocational space. And this is with ASQA, the Australian Skills Quality Authority. We've been registered as an Institute of Higher Education since 2014, and this covers all our higher education programs, like your undergraduate certificates, your graduate certificates, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. And one of the things I wanted to add here, which I didn't put in the slide, is that we've received our self-accrediting authority in December 2023, so just a month ago, which means that TEXA is actually very happy with the quality of our programs and the way we have our academic and governance structure. And so we've got our self-accrediting authority, which is a big milestone for us. We are also a fee help provider since 2017. And we're also registered for CRICOS. Now, CRICOS is for students who are wanting to come to one of our campuses here in Australia, be it in Perth or Melbourne, to study our programs. We are CRICOS registered for those programs. CRICOS is only for our higher education courses, so our bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. We also are a vet students loan provider. That's since 2021. And a little bit more detail, I'll cover Engineers Australia accreditation. But currently, we've got full accreditation for 3 of our advanced diplomas, 4 of our bachelor program, and 2 of our master's degrees. And we've got provisional accreditations for 2 advanced diplomas and 2 master degrees. The provisional accreditation will convert into full accreditation once we have enough graduates in those programs and we go through a review process from provisional to full accreditation. So moving on to look a little bit more deep into our internationally recognized programs. So when I'm talking about internationally recognized programs, these are the programs that are recognized with Engineers Australia under the Dublin, Sydney, and Washington Accords. So Dublin Accords cover, or it's at the level of engineering associate, and it targets our advanced diploma programs. So the three programs that I mentioned that we have full accreditation for is your Advanced Diploma of Industrial Automation. That's for anyone who's started with us since 2013 intake. They all will be having a full accreditation when they graduate from the program. The Advanced Diploma of Applied Electrical Engineering, the Advanced Diploma of Civil and Structural Engineering. So these 3 programs are fully accredited under the Dublin Accord. So what it means is, so people who finish this program, they have global mobility, for example, through mutual recognition within societies for Canada, Ireland, Korea, and so on. These countries, you are able to see them through the International Accord Alliance or via Engineers Australia website. It will tell you, for example, if you have completed, let's say, the Advanced Diploma of Civil and Structural Engineering, that you can, for example, apply for registration with EXA in South Africa under the Dublin Accord. So your program and your qualification will be recognized. So if you want more specific details for individual countries, I recommend that you go to the International Engineering Alliance homepage to look at which countries have mutual recognition with Australia. The next one we have is under the Sydney Accord. So this is for the level of engineering technologist. So all of our 4 bachelor programs that we run online, as well as our on-campus delivery in Perth. All of these are recognized under the level of engineering technologist in Sydney Accord. So again, once again, this means that you are able to recognize your qualification in, let's say, for example, you're doing something in New Zealand, even though it's an Australian call, your qualification will be recognized in New Zealand under the mutual recognition category. And the next we have is our Washington Accord. And under Washington Accord, you will be recognized as a professional engineer when you complete these programs, which are fully accredited. So the Master of Engineering Electrical System is accredited for online, as well as our on-campus delivery in Perth. And the Master of Industrial Automation is accredited for online, on-campus in Perth, and our Melbourne campuses. Now, the other two master degree programs are provisionally accredited, and this year we are going through a process of trying to get them into full accreditation in the later part of the year. So moving on to why choose EIT. I know Lisa already started with some of the specialist skills that we have and how unique we are in terms of our delivery methodology. But one of the key things is, as I mentioned, our programs are internationally endorsed Australian qualifications. So while not every single program goes through the Engineers Australia International Accreditation, the strength of our programs is that, especially with our self-accrediting authority as well, is that there is a quality attached to it, which means that you are able to apply to your own individual registrations in your countries, and we will be able to help you with any additional evidence that's needed for you to go through your registration process. Our courses are designed and also delivered by people from the industry. When I say designed and delivered, so when we go through a course design process, we go through what we call a course advisory committee, which consists of external academics as well as industry representatives who are able to tell us what should be within the course and what goes on within the course. So that's what happens with our practical relevant courses. It's also presented by engineering professionals from around the world. So we are not isolated or limited to who teaches our courses, but it's from people from around the world. We pick the best and brightest that we can find. And various programs, like we mentioned before, are accredited by Engineers Australia at different accord levels as well. You've got access to a whole depth of reference and research materials through our e-library. So you do have access to all your reference materials and textbooks via our e-library platform, as well as you have learning support officers who provide you with the support you need to ensure that you're progressing in your course and completing your course. So quite often people who have already studied with us, you will know when you're not attending classrooms, you will get your email or phone calls from our learning support officers to ask you why you've not been able to progress and if there's anything that we can do to assist you. We are one of the specialist colleges in the world who specializes purely in engineering, science, and technology. So we don't divide our focus between other courses, but we focus purely on engineering and how to make sure that engineering, science, and technology is captured. So we are a specialist in that. And lifelong learning. So as you would have seen our portfolio, you've got courses that are accredited with vocational education or higher education, as well as non-accredited courses in terms of professional certificates of competencies, which keeps you up to date with emerging technologies, short courses that helps you progress through your engineering journey, so a lifelong journey. And we have courses for people to progress all the way to Doctor of Engineering as well. We've got a variety of students you will see in our student stories who started with the advanced diploma and now have progressed all the way to a Doctor of Engineering. And we've got different pathways for people to take that journey. And we're also committed to diversity and inclusion, and that includes our efforts to bring more women in engineering field to make sure that we are able to provide that access of education to everyone in the world, rather than focusing on specific gender or location. The next part I would like to cover is slightly a little bit more touching on the international accords and the what they mean. So we talked about Dublin, Sydney, and Washington Accords. So even though the term engineering technician or associate is used throughout this accord when you go and look through the accord, so that if you can look at this link, if you want more information, this is where you would go. the links for the International Engineering Alliances. We do understand, and they understand as well, that some of the terms are different within different jurisdictions. So sometimes it includes people such as certified or professional technician, and obviously engineering associate. So just because the term engineering associate is prominently used here doesn't mean it's limited to only those. So you just have to make sure that you go and see the Dublin Accord. And similarly, if you go to Engineers Australia website, it will show you which countries have mutual recognition for the courses as well. And that's similar for the Sydney Accord and Washington Accord in terms of engineering technologist. Some other places use roles such as certified or applied science technologist or incorporated engineer. So they all are about the same accords. And similarly, we also have Washington Accords. And what you can see from the Washington Accord is that the mutual recognition between participating bodies, what this helps us is they have trust that someone who's gone through this program, which is accredited under the Alliance, the quality of the program is the same across the board, which means that you are able to transfer your skills across the world and you've got your global mobility. So one might wonder why we accredit with, different bodies, as well as, why we accredit certain programs and not certain programs, different bodies, as well as, why we accredit certain programs and not certain programs as well. Most of you would know, but what I would like to see as well, if you would like to pop in the chat box why accreditation is important to you, while I talk about accreditation, why accreditation is important to us. So if you want to put in the chat box why an accredited program is important to you. So in terms of accreditation, so for us, we think it's about our ability to showcase that our graduates meet international benchmarks to practice. Yeah, so that's one of the key things. And I've talked about global mobility in quite a depth. In Australia, Engineers Australia is our peak body for engineering education, which means that they are the ones who assess our programs, our governance, and academic rigor in the Sydney, Washington, and Dublin Accords. Now, Australian tertiary education providers, we can also, besides, of course, to deliver the programs, we have to get accreditation with TEXA and ASQA, but the additional industry body accreditation with Engineers Australia is a voluntary thing. Not every university or every institute has Engineers Australia accreditation. We have this accreditation because we think it adds a layer of additional quality as well as for our students for global mobility. The accreditation process is not easy or simple or cheap. It involves a lot of resources in terms of time, effort, and money to go through these processes to maintain certain criteria. While some of our programs do not have these accreditations in place at the moment, what we learn from the accredited programs and what we need to do in the accredited programs flows through into these programs. It's simply the fact that we haven't added these programs into our reviews and gone through an accreditation process in a form. So that's part of an accreditation, why we accredit with Engineers Australia. And on top of that, I think it gives us a public, it's easy for them to feel safe that they are going through a qualification that has met certain criteria. There's the international benchmark that we have achieved. It's a guarantee of standing that, the qualification is both internationally and Australian-wide recognition, international comparability, like I talked about, as well as graduate mobility. And it tells us that, we are able to meet some of the basic requirements to meet these standards with the International Alliance. One of the things that I like about these recognition is that quite often when we go through this rigorous process of accreditation, we get a lot of feedback from the panel who interview us and review our programs. And that helps us to keep our programs up to date and improve our processes, as well as make sure that we are doing good educational practice in the roles. So that's also a lot of learning opportunity for us as well. So this is the list of taken from the Engineers Australia website, the current programs that we have with them. So as you can see, we've got our electrical systems and industrial automation as full accreditation. The mechanical and civil at the moment are provisional accreditation and under the Washington Accord, and we are going through a review later in the year to convert them to full accreditation. The 4 bachelor programs that we run are recognized under the Sydney Accord and has full accreditation. Similarly, 3 of our programs in the advanced diploma, the Diploma of Industrial Automation, Applied Electrical Engineering, and Civil and Structural, have full accreditation. The Advanced Diploma of Mechanical and the Applied Electrical Engineering Power Industry are currently provisional, and once again, later part of the year, we'll be converting it or applying for conversion into full accreditation. So once again, just to reiterate, and this is again taken from Engineers Australia website, what it means for provisional accreditation. The provisional accreditation simply means that the program hasn't yet produced a sufficient number of graduates. So what Engineers Australia do when any program when we put through for accreditation, they do interview our past graduates to know from the graduates the quality of the program, the facilities and the support they've been provided, to ensure that it's not just us telling what we provide the students, but listening from the students themselves what has been provided to them before they decide to give us, grant us the accreditation status. But in some programs, unfortunately or fortunately, we may not have the sufficient number of graduates that they require, which means we will be given provisional accreditation to tell us you've met all the standards in terms of achieving the, from your academic perspective, but we just need enough graduates for us to interview them to then make our decisions. So that's what provisional accreditation means. So again, like I've talked about, if you can go through this particular link, if you want to find out more about mutual recognition agreements, within the website, you will have drop downs or expansion menus where you can see which countries are under the reciprocal organizations. You can go through that list. The other thing that helps students when they go through programs that have been accredited is the fact that you can get Engineers Australia membership as a student graduate free for the first year, and you also get to add post-nominals to your titles. So if you are, you can put yourself as an associate graduate, a technologist graduate, or a graduate with Engineers Australia. So for some of them, it helps you with your job titles and promotions, and it becomes an important thing to have. I would like to address as well, I know that there's a couple of questions here asking about some of the courses that we don't have accreditation for. You are still able to apply to your industry body, say for example, EXA or IET in the UK, EXA in South Africa, for your recognition. The only difference is with an accredited program, you can go through the formalities in a simpler form. Without an accredited program, you'll have to jump through another set of process where you have to complete your own competency demonstration matrix. So that's the only difference. Doesn't stop you from applying and getting the same status as an accredited program. And similarly, you've got associate member, technologist member, and normal member. Once you have finished your graduation status, you can then convert from a graduate to a full member as well. All right, before I continue with the future trends, I think I've answered a couple of questions already. And in terms of Matthew's question, when you complete a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, it's considered as an engineering technologist under the Sydney Accord. And when you do a Master's in Engineering with us, then you get a professional engineer status under the Washington Accord. So that's the big difference. So it's an engineering technologist, not a technician. All right, so I want to cover a little bit more about the future trends in terms of what we are seeing in 2024 in the engineering space. I've got a few things here, which I'll go through a little bit more detail in a minute. So we've got AI and machine learning, and I think a lot of you have already looked at AI and machine learning as, it's been around now for a couple of years, so it's not something brand new. But we'll talk about them in detail in a minute. We also have Internet of Things, and we've got courses in Internet of Things, and I think most of you would also understand, the implications of Internet of Things within your industries as well. Advancement in construction is another interesting space that we are coming through in 2024. Robotics and automation is quite prevalent, and similarly, there's a lot of work going on in the advanced material space as well. With the climate change, sustainability and areas in green hydrogen or green energy is becoming quite prevalent. And similarly, the digital twin technology is taking full force in 2024, along with things in biotechnology and genomics and cybersecurity and engineering. So I'll go through a little bit more detail of what these individual areas mean for us. So first we start looking at sustainability and green energy, as well as digitization and generative AI. I think most of you would already know about ChatGPTs that happens in the generative AI space. So AI and machine learning will continue to drive innovation across various industries this year, and we can get or expect more sophisticated AI applications. I mean, I don't know, perhaps you would have dabbled with things like DALL-E or Imagine. I've created these images with the Imagine AI generator, art generators, where these AI tools are getting more sophisticated, and you're getting applications that are from virtual assistants to personalized recommendations. And within EIT, we are looking at implementing chat assistants to help you revise your content and so on. But that's still in work in progress, but we are hoping to implement that by later this year. In terms of sustainability and green energy, the push for renewable energy continues, as you know, with climate change as well as your typical resources like your coal and oil are limited resources, so the green energy push is still there. We are going to be looking into more energy efficient technologies that are coming through, and again, that's going to be in combination with advanced materials and advancement in those materials science area as well. You'll also see, I think, within the developing countries, solar and wind energy will gain more prominence. And I know, for example, in India, there's a lot of push towards implementing rooftop solar panels this year, as well as implementing recharge stations for EV vehicles there as well. And within Australia and Africa, you can see a lot of projects going on in the hydrogen space. So that's also going to become prevalent within the sustainability and green energy space. The next we have is robotics and automation, as well as cybersecurity. Now, robotics and automation is going to reshape industries such as your manufacturing side or logistics and healthcare. If you have seen the news or followed the news under the robotics and automation, you have seen that besides research, a lot of the research are now turning into commercializing projects, where, for example, in Japan, there's already implementations of robots in the healthcare sector, as well as helping out in the food and beverage industry as well. Cybersecurity, again, is an evolving topic, evolving threat in the landscape as well. And most of us have our information out in the in the World Wide Web, as well as within the connected devices. So both in the software architecture as well as in the hardware space with IoT, we are going to see that cybersecurity becomes more and more important to look into and make sure as engineers we consider these implications when we are making designs in the projects. Next, we have advanced construction and advanced materials. Now, you would have seen videos on 3D printed houses, as well as things like energy efficient buildings and whatnot. But in terms of advancement in construction, I think efficient building and reducing the carbon footprint is going to be very, very important. That's a lot of talk going on with green concrete. How do you get net zero and things like that? And similarly, digital technologies like building information modeling is getting more prevalent. AR and VR, again, will become more streamlined and become more accessible in terms of becoming cheaper. Prefabricated and modular construction, which gives you low waste options, as well as 3D printing technologies are going to be the key things within the advanced construction spaces. In terms of materials, we've got, including in the aerospace industries, we are looking at things that are sustainable materials, that are lightweight, as well as more smart materials in these things, which will then flow into the other industries. So for example, you've got this use of graphite in semiconductor materials rather than silicon, and that's becoming cheaper and lighter in terms of processing. So those kind of material advancements are going to be some of the trends. Internet of Things, as well as 5G and beyond, those are going to be quite critical. So the IoT expansion will continue. So connecting more devices and enabling smart cities, homes, and industries are going to be the big thing, as well as the rollout of 5G, and some places you're going into research into 6G will gain momentum, which means you're able to offer faster data speeds and lower latency. And last but not least, biotechnology and genomics, as well as digital twin, is also taking center stage. So with the boost from AI, you will have personalized medicine. You have gene editing, bioprinting, and generally genetically modified crops. These are some of the areas where things are going from research into actual production or commercialization. And similarly, digital twin technology, again, this is not a new concept, but concepts that are going to gain more momentum with the push from AI. So with your manufacturing and supply chain, again, there is a lot of opportunities for us to grow in this space. So VR, AR, cloud-based solutions, we've got blockchain, as well as process integration, all play an important part here. This ties into some of the short courses we provide at EIT and some of the short courses we design as well. So going back to some of the first things I talked about, we've got courses coming up in advanced construction, we've got courses in modular construction coming up, we've got courses coming up in cybersecurity, robotics and automation, as well as in green hydrogen space. We've got courses coming up as well in, what else do we have? 5G, Internet of Things, and also in digital twin technology. So there's lots of things that are exciting coming up. And like I said, we do try and put courses forward that are keeping up with industry trends. And in terms of, keeping up to date, I would say these short courses, which are usually 3 months long, will be the way to go. That's all I have at this stage for this one. But before I pass it on to Lisa, I might answer the last couple of questions, which is, yes, someone's already answered. Yes, we do offer a variety of short courses. Do look at our professional certificate pages, Sibusiso, if I say your name correctly. Doctorate accreditation. So doctorate is at the moment accredited with TEXA, Australian recognized program. Engineers Australia or any industry bodies do not accredit programs in the doctorate level because it is higher than the Washington Accords. So they actually do not go through an accreditation process with an industry body, but they are accredited within Australia, within the Australian government. So if that helps you. But besides that, any other questions? If not, I'll pass it over to Lisa, and I will answer as other questions in the chat box as they come along. Thank you. Over to you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Indu. That was very informative, all the information that you shared. There is one question here about, I think this is, I'm not sure if I missed this, from Matthew Manea. He was asking if the Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, is he able to register at EXA, or maybe he's referring to TEXA as an engineer, or if he will be considered as a technician. Maybe this is related to being an engineering technologist, right?
Yeah, so I've come back to this particular slide here where we can dive into this a little bit deeper. So we've got the three accords, the Dublin, Sydney, and Washington Accord. Your bachelor degree is recognized under the Sydney Accord. So under the Sydney Accord, you're recognized as an engineering technologist, or in some countries they're called incorporated engineers. Engineering technician comes under Dublin Accord, so that's not the bachelor's, that will be our advanced diploma programs. So hopefully that helps you with the difference, Matthew.
Thank you so much for that, Indu. All right, so everyone, feel free to still go ahead with your questions. We can now go back to the slide where we have those. Do we have any more questions from here? Okay, just go ahead with your questions in the chat, and we will be answering that as we go along. And we would like to hold on. Okay, sorry, we'll just go back to the slide. We would like to let you know that we have upcoming webinars as well. So for those who would like to get certificates from a technical webinar, this will be your chance to have one. So just go to our website, and that's www.eit.edu.au, and we have our events part in there on our website, and you can see that we have upcoming webinars in February or next month. We have three webinars in February and one in March, and those are technical webinars that you can explore. If you go to our events page, you can see more of our webinars as well, upcoming and also the past ones, where you can view the recording. And all right, I can see that there are other questions in here. Samuel, he said that we are facing challenges from a course advisor and EIT. They don't help us with quick registration process. Okay, thank you so much for this feedback, Samuel, and I'm really sorry about this experience. I assure you that there might be a really good reason why the process is not that quick, and we assure you as well that our course advisors would be more than happy to help you. Maybe there is just a sort of miscommunication in the process, and I would like to encourage you to book a call with a course advisor, and so that you can have that specified time to talk to a course advisor over the phone, and you can ask as many questions as you want regarding the registration process, or it could be an application process if you're going for advanced diplomas or higher education courses. There will be requirements that would come with it, and it's best to have a phone call with a course advisor. I will be sharing the link later on how to book a call with a course advisor. And Tendai, yes, we do offer a master's degree in industrial automation engineering. We both have an on-campus version and also an online version for this. And we have another question from Chance: how to obtain full accreditation after graduating from a provisionally accreditation course. Dr. Indu, would you like to elaborate more on this for Chance? Um, is there a Dr. Indu, excuse me, is there a chance that you're on mute? I cannot hear you. All right, let's go back to that question later on, Chance, if you're still there. And let's go back to Nanofo. You have a question here. So, in other words, you saying a completed a course that is not accredited, and where why? Okay, if you complete, say, an advanced diploma in mining related, and it's not yet accredited by Engineers Australia, rest assured it is accredited by the Australian government and as a VET course. So of
Can
course
you
you
hear me
can
now?
still get. Yes,
Yeah.
we can
Well,
hear now.
I would like to, yeah, I would like to just give some information with both programs that so-called non-accredited. So firstly, all our courses in vocational and higher education are accredited with ASQA, Australian Authority, as well as TEXA for higher education. So they're all internationally recognized programs. The only difference is some of the programs do not have industry body accreditation with Engineers Australia. But that doesn't stop you from getting your own recognition within these industry bodies. All you have to do typically is complete a competency demonstration report with your industry body, along with the certificates from EIT. Sometimes the industry body might ask us to verify these programs or the content of the program, which we can help you with. Then you can get your accreditation in that way. And this has been done by many of our students previously, so it's not a new process. Similarly, for students graduating from a provisionally accredited course, quite often when we go from a provisional accreditation to a full accreditation review, what happens is Engineers Australia backtracks